Elvis Presley was one of the most famous men who ever lived, but the person who knew him best wasn't a journalist, a biographer, or a fellow musician. She was the woman who cooked his breakfast every morning, carried his tray upstairs, and stayed by his family's side long after he was gone. For decades, Mary Langston kept most of what she witnessed to herself. When she finally decided to share her memories, what emerged was a portrait of Elvis that no documentary had ever fully captured. His story didn't begin in the spotlight. It began in poverty, in Tupelo, Mississippi, where his family sometimes had almost nothing to eat. He was born on January 8, 1935, and arrived into grief from the very first moment. His identical twin brother, Jesse, was stillborn just minutes before him. That loss shaped the Presley family deeply, and by some accounts, it quietly followed Elvis throughout his entire life. His childhood offered little relief. His father struggled to hold down steady work, and in 1938 was even sent to prison for altering a check, leaving Elvis and his mother Gladys to rely on relatives for shelter. Through all of it, that bond between mother and son became extraordinarily close, something everyone around them noticed. She called him by pet names. He looked to her for everything, and when she died in 1958, while he was serving in the army, the grief reportedly never left him. Before any of that heartbreak, though, came the music. A shy, quiet boy who barely registered at school, Elvis stunned his classmates when he stepped onto a stage and sang. He taught himself entirely by ear, spending hours absorbing gospel, country, blues, and rhythm and blues, genres that would eventually collide inside him to create something the world had never heard before. When Sun Records owner Sam Phillips gave him a chance, it wasn't smooth or immediate. Hours of frustrating sessions produced nothing, until, during a break, Elvis spontaneously launched into a loose, electric version of That's All Right. Within days of it hitting radio,
I just missed it.
Listeners were
missed
calling the station frantically wanting to know who this singer was.
Audience, the live audience.
Many assumed, based purely on his sound, that he was black. Fame arrived fast, and controversy followed right behind it. His physically expressive performing style drew screaming crowds and outraged critics in equal measure. Religious leaders contacted the FBI. Television producers debated whether to show him below the waist. The press mockingly dubbed him Elvis the Pelvis, a nickname he reportedly despised. But none of it slowed him down. What the public didn't see was the growing cost behind the scenes. His time in the army introduced him to amphetamines, according to multiple accounts, and prescription drug use gradually became a defining and devastating part of his private life. His marriage to Priscilla, whom he had met when she was just 14 and he was 24, a relationship that has been widely scrutinized and disputed, eventually collapsed under the weight of emotional distance and mutual unfaithfulness. The divorce in 1972 shattered him. By the mid-1970s, the decline was visible to everyone. His health deteriorated rapidly. On August 16, 1977, he was found unresponsive at Graceland. He was 42 years old. Mary Langston stayed on for another 12 years after his death, cooking for the family just as she always had. Her loyalty said something no biography ever quite could. If this story moved you, hit like and subscribe. There's plenty more where that came from.